Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Brighton sisters, three Brighton sisters case. But let me just kick off with saying that if you go to my community posts and if the link works for you, do take a look at a very disturbing Facebook video that features a very young 20, 21-year-old guy called Joe from Liverpool who details exactly what horrors ketamine bring to a person's body when they get addicted to it. It's imperative, I think, that we really understand what's going on with this ket scourge that seems to be happening across the UK. Um, and in my community post, I did say I wonder if it is the case that Debbie Duncan, Warren, and Rach are still ruthlessly determined to find out who exactly it was that was supplying this ket to their kids. Of course, I'm being sarcastic because I'm pointing out that it's all very well being aware, of what ketamine is. And yes, I guess we do welcome Johnny come lately, Debbie Duncan herself, after nearly 2 years, to suddenly jump on a bandwagon of ket awareness, ket awareness, ket awareness. Where exactly was Debbie Duncan just a few months after it was known that ket was in the system of poor Jay there? I don't know. But finally, I guess it's after all the pushing and the encouragement that came from our side, there was none of it coming from the accident group. Finally, Debbie's realized that the very dead Jay's petition needs to be replaced with something, and she's on board with something worthwhile. But it's limited. Awareness of ket and what it does is one thing. I would have thought if you want justice for your own kid, you would be out there searching and trying to find out who exactly supplied him with this stuff. Now, in absence of any evidence that Debbie, Warren, and Rachel are really determined to find out who was supplying this stuff, I really don't think their heart's in it. And that's what I'm just going to go out there and say. I think it's just appearance for appearance's sake. Oh, ket awareness. That sounds good, doesn't it? Well, yeah, it does sound good. And it is good. But awareness of what? In your case, I would say we need to be aware, the general public needs to be aware of who are I can't think of a low enough word to describe these people, these reprobates that are pushing this stuff on kids. Who are these people? Where is your fight, Rach, Warren, Debbie, Zach, to bring to justice those people that are supplying, illegally of course, this very, very harmful substance to your kids? Okay, I'll throw that one out there. If you have the chance, go check it out. It is very disturbing to find out exactly what happens to your body when once you get a ket addiction. All right, I did say that this one was based on the three Brighton sisters. Now then, I have so much to go into. I've just got stuff aplenty I need to go into on both cases. Jay Slater, what's happening in Tenerife? Thank you, Noah. That's just a load of stuff I need to get into. But life has also been busy, outside of that world. So hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be able to get through everything that I have lined up here. But it is a struggle. This one was a bizarre kind of coincidence that came my way because having mentioned the three Brighton sisters and that last name Adetoro, I actually got an email from a contact in good old Gibraltar, and the contact asked me, well, don't I remember that last name from 2025? And I said, no, I don't. Sorry, I don't have that much contact with Gibraltar anymore. I occasionally read the Gibraltar Chronicle to catch up on news, but I said no. Adetoro in Gibraltar rings no bells. So I was sent by my good old contact in Gibraltar. I was sent a news article, and I'm going to read the whole thing out. It's not very long, but I'll read the whole thing out, and it'll give you an idea, I think, of how deeply the Adetoro family. Remember, the father of the three missing girls is an Adetoro, and curiously enough, one of the dead girls has a last name Adetoro. The other two don't. They reverted to their mother's maiden name, Walters, and I think there might be a story behind that because the two birth certificates that I found for Rebecca Adetoro and Jane Adetoro clearly have Adetoro as the last name. So Jane kept Adetoro, Rebecca didn't. So I just wonder why Rebecca Adetoro made the conscious decision later in life to revert to her mother's maiden name. To me, it often indicates some kind of friction or some kind of desperate falling out between mother and father, or mother's side of the family, father's side of the family. There's a reason. You don't just, wake up one morning saying, I think I want to go back to being Walters and ditch Adetoro. And curiously, I can't find my follower that is very good at finding these things. I can't find the birth certificate for the middle one, Christina Adetoro, who became Christina Walters. I may be wrong about that. I'll recheck with my follower that is very good at giving me this information. But I think I've got the two birth certificates, but not of the middle one. Anyway, that aside, my point is that the Adetoro family have an absolutely crime-ridden history. If you go on 192.com and you consult the electoral roll, you can see there aren't that many Adetoros in the Manchester area. About 20 to 30 in total. They're all related. And you can tell that by who is residing with whom, and then, cross-checking with social media posts and all that. So take it from me, this Adetoro clan in Manchester is pretty much one big family, maybe extended family, but in the Yoruba world, in Nigeria world, if you like, that extended family is all family. They all, whether they're half sisters, whatever, they call each other bro, sis, it's one family. Now then, going back to my Gibraltar contact, this person said, yeah, just read what one of these Adetoros was up to in Gibraltar. So we will do that now. Now, exactly how this Adetoro that was arrested in Gibraltar is connected to the three Brighton girls, I don't know. I suspect cousin. Pretty sure it's not a brother, but I suspect cousin. I don't know. Like I say, it's all part of the same clan. And at a later stage, or maybe then at the end of this video, we'll see how it goes, I will just detail a few other crime stories involving the Manchester Adetoros. The overall message is here, it is clear to me that Joseph Adetoro, father of the three girls, apparently found dead, two dead in the sea in Brighton, one washed ashore dead, is absolutely, his family, absolutely steeped in very nasty crime. Violent crime, a lot of it. This one in Gibraltar is more what I would consider the Nigerians are more finessed in, they're more adept at, and that is identity fraud, etc., etc. Without any more ado, let's try to pull up the article. And this is from, that's not an article, it's really an announcement. Royal Gibraltar Police. And as always, I will endeavour to post a link in the description to the video. And let's just read it through. 5 charged with fraud and immigration offences. Now, bear in mind as I read this through that it could be fraud and immigration offences at the heart of what has happened to the 3 Brighton sisters. It might not be, but I just have a feeling it could well be. 5 charged with fraud and immigration offences. 5 Nigerian men have this afternoon, and this is from February 2025, 5 Nigerian men have this afternoon been charged with fraud and immigration offences following an investigation by the Royal Gibraltar Police's Special Branch. Their arrests came after the suspects arrived in Gibraltar last Tuesday, the 11th of February, via the airport and presented documents to Borders and Coast Guards Agency, BCA, officials purporting to be seamen travelling to Gibraltar to join a vessel. So you've got your 5 Nigerians arrive at the airport, they're presenting documentation saying we're here in Gibraltar to join a vessel. One of the individuals returned to the airport the following day, 12th of February, and a BCA officer reported the suspect's travel history as suspicious. Subsequent checks showed that some of his supporting documents were fraudulent, but of a high quality. And let me just interrupt you here to say, you may not be aware of this, you may be aware of it, but as a group, Nigerians are renowned for forging documents. I remember seeing one television or one YouTube video where some poor guy in the British Embassy in Abuja in Nigeria, or it might have been a consulate in Lagos, but he'd had the same guy applying for a visa to the UK for like the 5th or 6th time. And every time something was fraudulent about the guy's documents. It does seem to be a whole industry over there in Nigeria. So I'm not surprised that this Nigerian guy is flagged at the airport and the documents were, quote, fraudulent but of a high quality. He was subsequently arrested by RCP Special Branch detectives. Inquiries identified 4 other Nigerian seamen that had entered in a similar fashion, who were quickly located by Special Branch detectives in the Line Wall Road area, who were then arrested with the support of response team and traffic officers. Now, listen to this bit. Following an investigation, Sunday Ara, 28, Waziu Adetoro, 26, Onyedika Messiana, 34, Chinonso Oliver, 39, and Ogbe Omozore, 45, were all charged with fraud by false representation and being non-Gibraltarian found in Gibraltar without a valid permit or certificate. The men who are being remanded at New Mole House Police Station are due to appear before the Magistrates Court at 10 a.m. tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so there you have it. Even in Gibraltar, there are Nigerians with a history of immigration fraud, false documents of a high quality. And I'm just wondering if could this be a speciality of the Adetoros in general? I do have time just to dip into, if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. Robbers walk into grave trap. Now, this is from Manchester. It's from the UK. It's from quite some time ago. Could be 10, 20 years ago. I'm not sure. But what you'll notice if you go to the electoral roll is there's one household that includes David Adetoro, Jacobo Adetoro, Marshall Adetoro, and Lillian Adetoro. Now, Lillian Adetoro, it's the same name as the girl that disappeared from Luton in 2014 and reappeared in Texas, by all accounts. So there's a Lillian Adetoro in Manchester, still electoral roll there, and a Lillian Jacobson. Remember, Joseph Jacobson goes by Joseph Adetoro. Here we go with the Nigerian very flexibility with last names. So I'm just pointing out that effectively there are 2 Lillian Adetoros. Now, the one that I'm going to read about in Manchester is very much part of a gang. Very much. And if you look at the electoral roll, these people, Jakub, Lillian, and I think it might be Otakunde. There's another criminal Adetoro that are all shacked up together, or were all shacked up together in the same address. Anyway, let me get to the article from Manchester. Robbers walk into grave trap. Armed robbers netted £233,000 in 8 military-style raids on banks and security vans. Shots were fired as terrified staff hid behind security screens. And the stolen cash was then laundered through building society accounts. Thousands of pounds would be deposited at hole-in-the-wall machines and then clean money withdrawn, said Mr. Peter Wright, prosecuting at Manchester Crown Court. Cars and jewellery were also bought, but gang members were caught when a passerby stumbled across 2 bags in a cemetery. One contained a loaded submachine gun and pistol, while the other had cash wrapped in commercial cling film. Detectives kept surveillance on the cemetery and swooped when 2 men, David Adetoro and Leon Marshall, began searching for the bags. Let me just break off here. David Adetoro is on Facebook, is in communication with Joseph Adetoro. I believe he could be the younger brother of Joseph Adetoro. Yeah, which would make him the uncle of the 3 Brighton sisters. I believe he's younger brothers because in a Facebook comment, Joseph Adetoro says something like, "There's our kid," or "There's our kid David." And I think he means kid brother. I'm not sure. If he's not a brother, he's a cousin. But the 2 communicate on Facebook. David Adetoro is a hard, long-term, hard nut criminal. David Adetoro and Leon Marshall began searching for the bags. Cash was also found in the car driven to the cemetery, and tests on the pistol showed it had been used in one armed robbery. Marshall Adetoro, his brother Jakub Adetoro, Lillian Adetoro, and Robert Norman all deny conspiracy to rob. Okay. Mr. Wright said the defendants played different but vital roles in the series of robberies in Newton Heath, Disbury, Reddish, Oldham, Rusholme, Bury, and Stoke. So there you have it. And there's a lot more. There's a lot more I can report on violent crime committed by the Adetoro clan, and I will do that. I will get that out there in the fullness of time. As I say, it's important to know the background to any family like this. I stress, it doesn't mean the father of the three Brighton sisters has committed any crime at all. Not at all. It might be that he is clean as a whistle. All I'm saying is if Joseph Adetoro is clean as a whistle, crime-free for the whole of his life, he would appear to be in the minority of the Manchester Adetoro family. I just mentioned the guy Waziu in Gibraltar. I just mentioned David. I just mentioned Yakubu. I just mentioned Marshall. There are more. And as I say, it's not a big clan. It's not like I'm saying, 10 guys with the same last name out of 50,000. What does that mean? No, this is a small, tight clan, the Adetoros of Manchester. And it is clear to me that the vast majority, possibly all of them, are either involved in some serious crime, have been involved in some serious crime, or certainly know about it. I desperately hope that PC Plod down in Sussex is working on this front, trying to find out exactly who these people are. Because if the whole investigation and inquest is going to be about how these sisters died, and that's it, nothing more to see here, they drowned, maybe. End of inquest. We will have been served if that happens, an injustice on a par with Jay Slater. I have a fear it's going down that route, but Adam Hayes, the guy that's investigating down in Brighton, has said he will leave no stone unturned. If he's talking the truth there, if he's speaking the truth there, then he's going to find out this Adetoro background and start grilling people about how possibly the three Brighton girls are part of some kind of fraud, crime, or scam. I'm just saying, it's got to be looked at. All right, let's leave it there. A lot more to come. Like I say, apologies that I have so much I want to get through, can get through, will get through. But it's just a lot to wade through in a systematic way. I will do my best over the next week or so. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you next time.